Hi guys, this is Arusa here from Autism Pilot. I hope you guys are doing well. So sorry I haven't been back with new videos for the last few weeks. I haven't been too well. So yes, here I'm back with a new video for this week, and in this video I'm going to talk about sensory processing disorder and the issues that are associated with our children who are suffering from autism spectrum disorder, and how we can help them to tolerate it or build tolerance around it so that their life becomes easier around. The main goal of this video is to educate the parents on sensory processing disorder, those who are new about autism. Another thing, how we can help our children with sensory processing disorder to tolerate the textures and the surroundings around them so that they don't fall into any meltdown situations and they can live a more fulfilling life. Please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for latest updates and information on autism spectrum disorder. Through Autism Pilot, my goal is to educate the parents on autism spectrum disorder. I know a lot of parents know better than me. However, what I've learned from my personal experience and the work I've done on my son, I've seen results, and I want to share all my insights and ideas to guide all the other parents to help their children to, live a better life, to live a more fulfilling life. So what is sensory processing disorder? Sensory processing disorder is an issue that is very common with children in autism. They usually are very sensitive to the textures and the lights and the environments around them. It can be like sensory issues can be related to the sounds as well. So what happens when the children are not very good at handling these issues? They tend to become very overwhelmed. They become overstimulated, they become overwhelmed, and sometimes they fall into a meltdown, and it becomes really difficult for parents to handle it, and it's completely understandable and quite common. My son, he still suffers from sensory processing disorder, but it has become a lot better than how it was before. Like, he has evolved from the intensity of the sensory processing disorder that would hinder him to live a normal life, like near to normal life. For example, why I am mentioning a normal life is that don't get me wrong, like whenever I used to take my son for a haircut, he would just get very scared, very annoyed, and he would just act out in such a way it would become very dangerous for us to even control him, and it was kind of impossible to give him a haircut at all, because like the barber wouldn't want to deal with him. It was very difficult to just hold him. He was very scared of the scissors going around his head and cutting his hair. He was not comfortable with the sound of the machines that were shaving his head if it had to be shaved and whatnot. So it was very difficult for him. Even when taking a shower as well, it was very difficult for my son to stay still. He would just jump in the shower all the time, and whenever it was time for him to wash the head, he wouldn't be able to take water on his head. So it is a kind of sensory processing disorder. However, I would like to mention that you've seen in my YouTube shorts as well, like my son can get a haircut very nicely nowadays. He enjoys the haircut just like any neurotypical kid, and it has made his life and our lives very much manageable as well. So how did we do that? I will go on to that, but let's talk about the other sensory processing disorder by giving you some examples so that you have a little bit of idea and what we should do about it. The sensory processing disorder can be from the sounds, like it can be like children with autism can be very hypersensitive or hypersensitive to the surroundings around them. Like, they can be like the sounds which we are hearing but not bothering us. It can bother them, and it can get them to a point of overstimulation and then meltdown. And sometimes like if those children like with sensory processing disorder, they get some kind of hurt, like they cut their hand or they just get hurt in some place, they don't react because they don't feel the pain. So the pain, if we were inflicted with such kind of an accident like a cut or anything, like if we got into an accident, we would obviously get hurt, right? So we would react, we would feel bad, we would be crying in pain. But there are some children who are hypersensitive and they don't feel any of that. In my son's case, like if he gets hurt, he does react, but the reaction does not stay for a very long time. And if the pain is consistent, he does not tend to remember it, and he does not tend to feel it, and he tries to overcome it. From a different point of view, like as a mother and as parents, like my husband and I, we think, okay, his tolerance level is good, he wants to be happy, he's a happy child, he wants to stay happy, so he's just enduring the pain and trying to get over it so that he can enjoy his life. But truth be told, he does not understand the severity of the pain and what the pain is doing to his body, and the reaction is not what we expect from typically. It can be sensitivity to sounds as well. I mentioned about that. Sorry, I repeated myself. It could be sensitivity to lights as well. Like some children are very sensitive to bright lights. Like my son used to be very sensitive to bright lights, especially like if we took him to the mall, he would just all of a sudden just get into a meltdown, and he would start reacting, he would start laughing, or maybe he would start reacting in such a way that it was uncontrollable for us, and it wasn't possible for us to get out of the mall in that instant because we had some errands to run, right, and some shopping to do. So with time this has gotten better, and he is not having those meltdowns, and he is not sensitive to all of that. So for this reason, what happened after the management of this sensory processing disorder, he has been going to school very well, and he's been settling down very well in the normal classroom, like in the regular classroom. The classrooms are really bright, and the schools are really loud, like it's not designed specifically for children with autism, right? So he's been doing really well, and he has managed to get used to the environment, and nowadays he doesn't have any meltdowns, and he doesn't have any anger outbursts as well. So how did we do that? Like as parents, if I thought, okay, let me make a sensory friendly home for my son, so that whenever he's having he shouldn't have a meltdown at all, he shouldn't have any kind of discomfort at all, so that he's always feeling safe and comfortable. But does that mean that I'm going to take keep my son at home all the time, like in a cage? I cannot build a beautiful cage for my son and expect that he should be staying at home for the rest of his life, right? It is not the case. He has to go for doctor's appointments, to go to the grocery store, and most importantly, he needs to see the world. He needs to experience the world just like any human beings. He has the right to do so. So what I started doing was I started thinking, okay, I shouldn't just sensory proof the entire house. There can be a safe haven inside the house, like a corner where it will be like his own zone. If he has any problems, if he's having kind of meltdowns and anger outbursts or whatever, if he needs some me time, he can just go into that tent or whatever corner I've created for him, and he can regulate himself. Otherwise, he has to get used to all the surroundings so that he is comfortable. And I did not do it all at once. It came very gradually in his life. So what happened was, for his haircuts and head washes, so I started giving him head massages, like very slow head massages, and I would just take my fingers and rub on his head. And at first he was very ticklish and he would move away, he would try to squirm. But later, slowly, what I did was, if I kept a timer with me all the time. So the timer, if it said for example, I would just massage his head for 2 minutes, and I would do it very slowly. I would take my fingers off, then put my fingers in, and that's how it would go on for 2 minutes. And with time, I slowly increased the length of how long the massages would go on for. This is the first step. Second one is combing the hair with combs. I used to have really narrow toothed combs, I still have those. And you know, I used to, you know, like comb, like massage his head with the comb slowly. And I started with 30 seconds, then it went up to 1 minute to 2 minutes, and so on. Besides that, I have a scalp massager, so I used to use the scalp massager as well, like, you know, alternatively. What happened was, I started doing this for 2 times a day. Then I increased it to 3 times a day. Then for the haircuts, I would always show videos of children getting haircuts on YouTube, especially on the TV, and I would just talk to him saying that, oh look, this is a nice haircut, this is what you should do, this is what you should get, next time you'll be looking very handsome, this and that. So, you know, he was very comfortable with the idea, like the visual idea, and with the sounds and with the textures, so it became much more easier. Then what happened was, I started giving him haircuts at home in the very beginning, because the barbers wouldn't cut his hair. It was too, you know, always moving or screaming, and he was just getting the whole salon into a chaos. So the barbers weren't very keen on giving him haircuts. So I started cutting his hair, and when I started cutting his hair, I started doing it very slowly, and I would show him, look, nothing is going to happen to you, I'm just cutting your hair. So after the haircut, he would see that his look was changed, and the haircut did not harm him in any way, and he got a massage afterwards. So the massages which used to bother him in the very beginning became a sense of comfort for him in the long run. So for the showers as well, it's the same thing. At first he wasn't very comfortable in taking the water, like the shower rain, on his head. And what I did was, you know, I have a handheld shower as well, so I would just hold it over his head and take it out. Hold this over his head and take it out, and, you know, massage with my fingers as well. So I made it like a play time for him, like, okay, now shower is coming up. Shower is coming up. Then, you know, he would also get excited, like, okay, mommy is trying to play with me during the shower, so it's nice. With that, he built the tolerance around his head area, and he's not having any troubles getting shampoos, showers, and even he can shampoo his head on his own, and he's very good with haircuts nowadays, so it's not a problem anymore. And some of you parents might ask, like, what happens like when the barber tries to take the shaving machine to, you know, clean up the area around the nape. So what I did was, my husband has this machine, and I used to just switch it on around him, and I wouldn't do anything. I would just switch it on, switch it off, switch it on, switch it off. So what happened was, he built the tolerance around the sound, and what it did, like, I did not do anything on him, but he just built the tolerance around the sound, and it did not bother him that much. Next case was, my son was always very scared when I would just switch on the hair dryer to blow, to blow dry my hair, and he would just run away and hide inside a room, and also have meltdowns, of course. So it would take us a very long time to get him normalized from the meltdown. Then he wasn't able to, you know, accept the sound of the blender going around in the house, like going on in the house. He would just, you know, scream and run away. There were so many sounds that would bother him, like if there were too many people in the house, like if my friends came over, if somebody came over, or we went over to somebody's house, or wherever, even if it's in the mall, my son would just have a meltdown, because he wasn't able to take too much of noise, especially from the crowd, or if it was too loud for him. What happened was, I did not stop it at that. Yeah, in the beginning, his father used to say, okay, never mind, we won't just take him to the mall, we won't just take him there, we won't just do it, this, do that. I'm like, no, this cannot be his life, and we have to make it better for him. So what we did was, I started like turning on the TV very loud for him, and I used to talk to him as well. But I would also reduce the TV down, so that, you know, he got the difference in loud sound and tolerable sound. And when I was also talking, that it made it a little bit more, you know, chaotic for him, like, because he's sensitive to sound. That's what I think. Yeah. So what happened was, when this happened, he started slowly getting used to this. Then about the blender, I would make juice or smoothie every day. So what I would do is like I would turn on the blender for 15 seconds and I would tell him, come and see what the blender is doing. If he would run away, okay, no problem. If he didn't run away, I would tell him, go and stand behind me, get ready, because the blender is going to be on. So he would just stand behind me or stand beside me or just hear the sound of the blender from another room. But every day he built the tolerance around it. Then about the hair dryer, I would just every day blow dry my hair in front of him. I would switch it on, switch it off, switch it on, switch it off. What I did with the blow dryer again, like the blow dryer also blows cold air, right? So I would just, put the cold setting on and I would just blow on his face and like, okay. Then take it away from his face and make it seem like, oh, this is fun, this is fun, this is like a game. I kept the sessions very short but consistent, and it went over a period of time. And nowadays my son, after he takes a shower, he'll say dry hair, because he likes drying his hair with the hair dryer, and I put the cold setting on most of the time. And the blender, he knows, like whenever I'm about to turn on the blender or my food processor, I just tell him, okay, listen, I'm going to turn it on, so be careful, be ready. So he just sits in one place or he just goes to the bedroom, but he keeps the door open and he watches me with intent. When it's done, he just comes over and says, good job. I'm like, okay, yes, good job. So yeah, that is how he built the tolerance around the sound. So nowadays when he's attending regular school and if the classrooms are really loud, it doesn't bother him. He is really okay with it, and even in the malls as well. So that's how it worked out for him. Smell is a very sensitive issue which is quite difficult to deal with, to be very honest. So my son was very much repulsed by the smell of rice or any type of curries, and it was very normal, even like for food as well. Like if he was supposed to eat any kind of food which he did not like, he wouldn't like the smell of it and he would try to puke. What I did was I told him, like, look, you just smell it, you don't need to eat it. So I would just bring it in front of him and make him smell it. Then I would just spray some perfume on my wrist and I would tell him, like, smell it. He did not know, like, still he doesn't understand how he should inhale, I am a meditator, so I usually try to help him to relax as well if it's needed. So he doesn't know how to exactly do that, but he is very comfortable with taking the smell of the perfume from my hands. So yeah, so it slowly he became like, I exposed him to different kind of smells, and nowadays he is not averted to smells. If something is bothering him, he's just pet. That's it. Because if it's a bad smell, obviously if it's stinking, we all say it. So that's how he is reacting. So that's how I've worked on him regarding this. What I want to tell you parents is that whatever sensitive issues you have, what sensory processing disorder your child is suffering from, take care of it, like work on it so that your child is becoming comfortable around it, so that you can create a sensory friendly home. That's not a problem. But your child also needs to go outside, and children with autism are very slow in adapting to change. Yeah, and it becomes a little bit difficult for them to adapt to change as well, because they are used to doing something, they like routine, they like being comfortable, and once they're out of their comfort zone, it becomes extremely difficult for them to process the environment around them. And we don't want them to have this problem all the time, like such a drastic change. Like inside the house it's sunny, but outside it's just nighttime, and it's such a big cognitive dissonance, and we don't want them to go through that. So what we should do is, like, we should introduce these sensory stimuli to them slowly, so that they build their tolerance. It shouldn't happen overnight. It shouldn't happen in a few months. It takes a long time. And when you start working on your child consistently and not stop at once, you will see your child has built a lot of tolerance around it, and one day, trust me, like me, you won't have to work on your child all the time. Like, okay, I am turning on the hair dryer, or I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm exposing my child to some smell or some kind of textures, whatever. No need. It's just you need to have a plan, you need to have a routine. Once that goal is completed, you just don't have to follow through, and it becomes normal for them. If they're regressing, no problem, get back to doing whatever you did from the beginning to bring him to that stage from where he regressed. He or she will improve even more. So that's what I wanted to share in my video with you parents, and I hope parents you've liked this video. If you liked this video, please give a thumbs up and share it with the other parents of children with autism who are having sensory processing disorder, so that they can understand what we should do around it. And stay tuned, subscribe to my channel so that you get the latest updates on whenever I post something. Also follow my Facebook page, because if I am not active on YouTube, I am active on Facebook. You can reach out to me for any kind of advice or information, or if you just want to chat. And I also post tips in writing so that you can follow for more information. So the name of my page on Facebook is Autism Pilot. So guys, I hope you have a great day. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.